Hey, this is Sasha, and welcome to another episode here on Backstage Income, where I share with you how to build and grow a profitable business. Today, we're going to take a look at generic niches and why generic niches don't really work anymore. And when you look at niches these days, anytime you're trying to come up with a niche idea or a thought of what to do to start a business, you always have to drill deeper and deeper into the next level. And I'll show you here with specificity as how things have evolved over time. So first, let's take a look here at the paper overhead. I want to share with you kind of this idea and go with it from there. Basically, in the past, when we look at the web world, and I shall share this with you with the web world, when you were looking to go and let's just say you were looking to get a logo, it was a website. Typically, what you used to find many years ago, let's say in the 1990s, back when I first started doing web development work, used to find a person that could do kind of websites and then logos. And then those logos also led to business cards. That also went to SEO or search engine optimization. But usually you found a tech person. So this was kind of a tech person that could handle a lot of these things. Things were not as complicated back then. Now, fast track in today's world, and when you take a look at it now, typically you'll find websites that are even segmented into, let's just say, hey, we only focus on dental websites. Logos, it could be, hey, we focus on cartoon logos or minimalist logos, or for designers and graphic designers, it could be, hey, we just focus on business cards, flyers, and postcards. So everything is getting more and more segmented, right? And it continues to split into this kind of direction. And even within websites, you know, you have things like, okay, well, now we have, hey, we're a UI designer. It might be, hey, I'm a website funnels expert. I'm a website opt-in manager, or whatever. I create opt-ins for the website and I handle that. I'm a website customer support. I handle the customer support or the live chat. So you can see how these things now get segmented into more and more levels. So basically it just continues to dig deeper and deeper into that next level and zone. And if you look at this in the photography world, it's kind of the same thing, right? So if you're looking for a photographer, right, you are, when I did photography, when you search for a photography and you look for a photographer, you're basically looking for someone specific. Now, there's a lot of segments in there. Are you getting someone who's doing baby pictures? Are you doing someone who's a wedding photographer? Who are you looking for? So I want to show you here, basically a lot of these things get more segmented depending on what you're doing in your focus. In the past, you used to have a photographer that specializes in all of these things, or it's just they're the photographer. Nowadays, you'll see that, hey, we specialize in rustic weddings, but you don't see a photographer that also specializes in wedding videos, and they also make, let's say, wedding cakes, right? A photographer is just a photographer, and if now they're getting into weddings, and now it might be rustic weddings, and people want this specialty nowadays. They really are looking for it because they want to see if you can fulfill their needs. And this is what happens when you're doing logos, websites. This happens when you're doing photography. And I just want to share that with you as we drill into this. Let me just show you here on screen. So if I go ahead and search for, let's say, photographer, let's say in, let's say Tampa, Florida, just because I used to live near Tampa. So you can see what's going to show up is you're getting the top 10 best affordable, you're getting the Groupon website, you're getting the Knot, you're getting Wedding Wire. You're not really getting a photographer specifically. That's a pretty picture. Again, professional photography in Tampa. So maybe this one, you might get one listing. But again, when you start looking at it, it's really, this one is a wedding right? So you got some portfolio of a mix. But let's say I'm looking, okay, so I got weddings, families, seniors, couples, headshots, maternity, and events. But what if I'm looking for a pet photographer? Now all of a sudden, hey, we're digging deeper. So let's say pet photographer in Tampa, Florida. Now things are getting more specific because, hey, I want, photography for my pet, posh fur photography. So let's take a look at these two. So you can see, let's see here. This one does pet photography. Look at this. Looking at photos of your pets. And I want to see those kinds of things because this is the service that I'm looking to get, right? So they specialize in pet related photography. Look at how they turn out. Very, very creative, very, very crafty, much different than you would find if you're just looking for generic photography. Here's another one, posh fur photography. Again, I have no relationship with any of these. I'm just stumbling across these. But if you take a look, let's say, hey, dogs and cats and equestrian even. So let's take a look, Pawtastic Pets, Pawtastic Family. So, and here's some clients. You can see how they go ahead and capture some of the moments with the dog, with the pet. You can see it much different than doing portraits of a human being. So, it takes specialty and expertise to really get this done the right way, right? And you can see if they're making a business just around the animal section, here's equestrian. If they're making a business just all around the animal segment, then usually there's money involved in it. And you're so specific because, hey, if I want, somebody to take pictures of my horse, if I want someone to take pictures of my dog, if I just search for, you're not gonna search for a wedding photographer in Tampa. No. You'll get wedding photography if you search for wedding photographers. And if you just search for photographer in Tampa, Florida, well, now all of a sudden, let's just take a look here at the map. Not all of these, let's say Robert Crumb right here, not all of these are going to do pet photography. They might do, here's let's see here, what do they do? They do the wedding, a portrait, commercial, headshot, but nothing pet related. So you can see, depending on what you're trying to do, the more specific you can get, that's how you'll attract and land a client. If you have a generic niche and you're just focusing on everybody, then nobody will come to you. So dig into it further and further and further, and then you can create your own little sweet spot for your clients and audience, because that way, as people are searching for your specific expertise, that's who they're going to go with. They're going to go with you. But as far as just doing generic, let's say photography or generic tech services, what does that really mean? Well, tech services could mean, hey, I do website design, I do logo design, I do search engine optimization. But when you start getting more specific, we do Pinterest marketing for small business. Now you get specific. We do logo design for small startups that are tech companies. Again, you're being more specific. Or we do cartoon logo design for small startups. So get more specific, because if you don't, you can see that being wide or just very vague in your niche, you're not going to land anybody. You might hit a handful of people here and there, but it's people are going to see, hey, they're not experts in this. So here I'm looking at this, right? So they do weddings, they do video, but again, where's the pets, right? It's not there. So this is catered for weddings and family-based things. If you want pets, that's another thing. If I want baby photography, and let's just say Tampa, Florida. Okay, so now you look at newborns. So again, you're getting more specific, because some of those other ones, they don't handle baby or newborn photography. So here, all of a sudden, now you have more maternity, baby pictures, which is completely different in its own way. So I hope this makes a little more sense. Dig deeper into your niche, because if you see now a website or a service or a company, let's just say, hey, you're trying to hire a plumber. Well, that plumber also does electric work. He also does roofing. You know, that's a generic handyman, and that's fine. But if you're looking for specific specialty or expertise or professionalism, then you want very specific things and a very specific service and digging deeper into the niche. Doesn't mean you can't offer 5 or 10 things, but it's almost like if you're doing photography, you would split that up into 4 or 5 websites nowadays. In the past, you could say, hey, this is my photography website. Now it's almost like, let's split it up into 3 or 4 websites where we do weddings in one division, baby and maternity in a second division, and it could be pet photography in a third division. So again, you would probably want to do that if you had enough base and clientele to attract those kinds of people. But otherwise, putting it all in one could confuse people, and they could also say that, hey, they're not as specialized as I want them to be. So thank you so much for joining me in this week's episode. Hope you found it helpful, insightful, and gave you some things to think about. Remember, look at building kind of an empire around what you're doing, not just, hey, this one website and this one thing is going to make it for me. Look to build out different divisions and different segments, and that really can ramp things up for you. Now, if you want to see other great videos and trainings like this one, get on the newsletter list, click the link here or under this video, enter your name and email address when you're there, and I'll see you next time.